Right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are on this in this meeting, and also if you are joining us online through our YouTube. This is the Consensusism Study Group. Consensusism is the philosophy and the ideology for decolonization, with particular reference to the African Revolution. It is the legacy, if you like, or the bringing together of the philosophical and ideological position of radical Pan-Africanism or progressive democratic Pan-Africanism championed by the first president of Ghana, Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And this group is a group that has been in existence since 2007. And when Ghana celebrated 50 years of independence. And this group has been leading the conscientization of the African leadership in order for them to have the perspective required to successfully, totally liberate, unite, and develop Africa. And on Saturdays like this, we hold a meeting, and our theme is always the same. The theme is the unification of Africa. It is our position, as it was that of the Pan-African fathers and mothers, that the unification of Africa is the solution to all our problems. If you list all our problems, and you can have as long a list as you like, the simple solution is to unite Africa and to have a single continental government with responsibilities, and then the other nations with responsibilities. It is also our position that the unification of Africa must be made on the basis of the indigenous, original, organic nations of Africa, by which we mean the Yoruba, the Mandika, the Acholi, the Luo, the Ewe, the Nama, and so on, and so on, the Herero, and so on. These are the original and the historic and original organic nations of Africa. It is from them, if you go back in history, that all humanity has come from. They are the fathers and the mothers of everyone on this planet. Although they won't tell you that. They all came from us. So we are saying that the unification of Africa must be on the basis of these nations. And we have a WhatsApp group which is leading that, and our chair for that is Brother Sir WHK, who is on your screen, on your chat, on your participants list, if you look there. So he's our chair. He's the one leading us on that front. And he will be chairing today's event as it is on unification. So that is our position. We don't believe that Africa must unite on the basis of the new colonial states, because the new colonial states were demarcated, inherited from imperialism, and we don't think that that is how we should unite. So that is our position. So we meet every Saturday. So I'd like to go through the list and welcome you all, and then I shall invite Brother Benny to do his presentation, and then I'll hand over the chairing to Brother Windhoek. So, by the way, I am your brother, Christian Kwame Agbodza. I come from the Ewe people of the eastern part of Ghana, called the Volta region, and I am the overseer of the group. So welcome, Andrea Gilbert. Welcome, Sister Shaza. Wow. Welcome, Brother Sam. Welcome, Amma. Welcome, Adiola. Welcome, Ya Asantiwa, the legendary queen. Welcome, Sister Tendai. Welcome, Brother Windhoek. Welcome, Brother Benny. Now, those of us here, I don't know if you know, come from a variety of nations, from from South Africa all the way to the tip of West Africa. So welcome. We represent the organic nations of Africa. So welcome. So now that I've welcomed you, I'm going to just point you to the screen. That is our topic for today, development beyond the nation states. And I'm going to stop sharing so that Brother Benny can now share his screen as he will do the first presentation. And at this point, I'll hand over to our chair for today, Brother Windhoek. And he will then chair. And as I understand it, nobody else is presenting. But if anybody wants to present, please let Brother Windhoek know. Just unmute yourself and let him know. And after the presentation, as our brother chairs, there'll be a discussion, and then we can all come in and share our thoughts. Thank you very much. So I'm going to hand over now to Brother Windhoek, who will invite Brother Benny to commence his presentation, and then we shall do a discussion after that. The time is 6:19 GMT Accra time. Brothers and sisters, once again, welcome. Brother Windhoek, over to you. Thank you.
Greetings once more. Thank you, Brother Kwame. I'm always at your service. I'm always at the service of the entire African continent. Everybody has been welcome to this meeting. So will I again repeat that very warm welcome. Brother Benny, without much ado, please, the floor is all yours. It's all open for you. Go ahead and start your presentation in any fashion that you feel comfortable with. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Windhoek. And I'm sure that you are. There's something blocking my Sir Windhoek. I don't know what's happening.
Please talk to me, Brother Benny. What is blocking what?
Your name is there and it can't upload. So go to the screen. Yeah.
Where must I go, Brother Benny?
Okay, yeah. Let me try see it from there. Share. No. Let me move here. What is happening?
So Chair, so just so Brother Benny knows, we can see his screen okay. So we are fine. We can see his screen. So just
you can see my screen.
We can see your screen perfectly, just so you know that. Thank you.
Oh, then it means I don't see it. Okay, let me see how I'm gonna okay. Yeah, this evening, concerning the development beyond nation states, I decided to look at SADC, and then we look at certain issues which I will call SADC at the crossroads. I have lived in SADC over 20 years now, so I am more conversant with activities here than the other regions. And when it comes to integration, with the knowledge I have about the other sub-regions, I have seen that we are more or less somehow behind comparatively, but SADC actually should be the region that needs sub-regional integration first before even the continental one. And I think as I present these things, there's a bigger document I did, but I just did this policy brief because then I'm able to present the very areas that I want to do within this short period. I told Brian Kwame I want to use. But if I skip by maybe 5 minutes, forgive me. Yeah, the summary of this, let me just jump to the main item. Why SADC integration matters now. Rising global unilateralism economic coercion and trade nationalism have exposed the vulnerability of small and fragmented economies. Indeed, acting individually, we've seen that SADC member states possessed limited bargaining power in global trade, finance, and diplomacy, even to the extent that some SADC countries have been targeted like a pawn that some people want to capture these countries like they are nothing. But a unified SADC would enhance collective resilience, enable coordinated industrial policy, and strengthen Africa's voice in global negotiations. Of course, let me give an example. If you take a country like Botswana, despite their wealth and resources, I mean, the population is quite low. I mean, under 3 million or 3 million, let's put it around 3 million.
Brother
You
Benny,
take even, yes, please.
Brother Kwame, if you feel like giving direction at any point, feel free to interject at any such point. Thank you. Go ahead, Brother
Yeah,
Benny.
thank you.
Thank you, Sewindo. And then window country also, they have such a huge land, but their population is low. Come to Eswatini, come to Lesotho. You see, I think the countries with a little bit sizable population, Zimbabwe, just above 20 million, Malawi, Mozambique, Zambia. SA is the most, in fact, SA population is almost like 60 or past 60 now. You see, but then we take a whole number of immigrants also into consideration within SA. See, so looking at this state and looking at this, the way now Africa has become a target, you see, it makes these countries vulnerable for capture. If I should use that
Brother
word.
Benny, Brother
Yes,
Benny.
please. Yes, please.
Migrants from where?
In South Africa, migrants from all over the world, please, because from Asia, from Africa, from even the West, yeah, and from Middle East also, yes. So South Africa population is increasing very faster than all the other SADC countries, which are still remain very, very, very small. You see, yeah. So why SADC integration matters now? Rising global, I think I have, oh, sorry. Yeah, let me go. Comparative performance of African regional economies. The figure below illustrates SADC's relative low level of intra-trade compared to East Africa and ECOWAS, reflecting weaker market integration and infrastructure connectivity. If you look at this graph, it shows that even taking South Africa, which is, I mean, considered the largest economy, whether it's the largest or the second, at least within these two areas, they fit in very well. Yet, we see that it has not actually impacted on intra-SADC trade. Yes, I know South Africa, most SADC countries depend on South Africa for a lot of things. But yet, integrating the economies would have actually helped a lot. But then why is it that we are not achieving that? East Africa, depending on the level of how they have integrated their economies and other areas, we can see that it has helped a lot how Uganda, Kenya, you even Tanzania, coming to which are Burundi, Rwanda, I'm not sure. No, Somalia maybe sometimes it doesn't come into the East African community. You see, these countries, we find that uh, depending on how they have actually worked and structured their, let me use the word sub-integration, trade is very high among themselves. You see, you go to ECOWAS also, it's the same. Even as at now, ECOWAS, about 7 or more than 7 countries have integrated their telecommunication, that from one country to another, you don't need to change SIM card, you see. But what is the problem in SADC that is actually hindering an urgent and a very needed kind of integrating to a certain level whereby it becomes useful and advantageous for the countries to grow very fast. Actionable policy recommendations. This is a policy brief. So empower the SADC Secretariat with binding decisions making and enforcement authority, including compliance, monitoring, and graduated sanctions for non-implementation. We rationalize, number 2, rationalize regional membership. This requires us to coordinate with African Union to reduce overlapping membership and harmonious tariff and regulatory regimes, particularly between SADC, SACU, and COMESA. The need to establish a SADC Regional Development and Compensation Fund. This requires the creation of redistributive mechanism to support smaller economies, mitigate asymmetries, and build trust in deeper market integration. 4, the need to accelerate regional infrastructure corridors. Here, we have to prioritize cross-border transport, energy, and digital corridors with pooled financing, standardized procurement, and project preparation and facilitation. When it comes to this side, a lot of progress have been made in terms of the transport side, like South Africa, Mozambique, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe is currently has embarked on widening the road from Beit Bridge to Harare. And the Harare to Lusaka is quite not that a road that I would feel like, because the number of load that passes that road also is huge. Then energy also, at least we have seen that there is a kind of sharing. Mozambique supplies South Africa. South Africa also at the same time supplies to some of like Zimbabwe and some of the other small countries around. But then it's not a matter of supplying them, but I mean how this work in such a way that the cost aspects and also does it actually show us a kind of integration, energy integration at all is another question to ask. Then the digital corridors also, it is not, as I said, it is not perfect at all, not even done yet, because you have to change your SIM card from each country. Even if I enter Eswatini now, I may have to remove my MTN and put on in another card that I have to buy over there, you see. So these are not helping at all, especially if you are a trader and every time you have to go through some of these things. Yeah. Number 5, align integration with security and industrial policy. The need to integrate economic planning with regional security and industrial strategies to ensure stability, resilience, and shared value creation. What must change? Yeah, before I come to what must change, let me comment on this portion. In fact, last year or last 2 years, we saw how the SADC had problem with its peacekeeping force to DRC, Eastern DRC. I mean, a number of South African soldiers were killed. Unfortunately, not only South Africa, Tanzania, and some of the other countries. Later on, in fact, things got to a point that the SADC need to withdraw from the area. You see, it shows a kind of weakness because DRC is supposed to be even be part of SADC. So more or less, we saw that the EAC, East African community, were more stronger with Congo in terms of how they were trying to intervene than even that of SADC. So it means that there's some weakness in, but we are going to get into that. I don't have the bigger document here. Over the next 5 years, SADC must undergo a decisive shift from intergovernmental coordination to function supranationalism. This requires A, adoption of binding regional decisions in trade and infrastructure, clear timelines for custom union implementation, reduction and sovereignty vetoes that paralyze collective actions. On these collective actions, the problem lies with the fact that they are, let me say, liberational policy issues. You see, the time of the liberation, how some countries were quick to liberate themselves, like Zambia, you have Malawi, you have Zimbabwe, and then Mozambique. South Africa actually got democratic in 1990, mostly 1994. But we find that there are certain distrust among SADC countries. There are institutional encumbrances, which means that certain perceptions which were carried over by the first liberation parties persist among SADC countries, that it has been the main stumbling block that is hindering the integration of the region. But as I said, that the bigger document has got the explanation of that. And because of time also, I can't go into detail. But then these are the main hindrance, which is hindering the integration, because the other upper countries seem to distrust South Africa based on its racial context, whereby the other countries feel like if white government come, what is going to happen to us? So if we have actually tied tail with South Africa, what will happen to us? So these are some of the questions they keep asking. Measurable targets for intra-SADC trade growth is another factor, another consideration that is required to actually for the region to work on. Political leadership that frames integration as survival strategy rather than a threat. Also, it goes back to what I mentioned, the liberation era perceptions are still haunting the sub-region. In conclusion, let me say that SADC stands as a strategic at a strategic crossroads in an increasingly hostile and unsecure global order. The cost of fragmentation is rising. Development beyond nation states is no longer ideological. It is existential. The next 5 years will determine whether SADC evolves into a unified regional actor or remain a collection of vulnerable competing states. This is what politicians and other policymakers should sit to consider, the issue of vulnerability, as the region is viewed as some of the most resourced areas when it comes to minerals and other scarce, resources. Thank you. Thank you, please.
Winhook? Is Winhook there?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Benny. Very good presentation. Brother Kwame?
Yes, if I may also
Any
do,
comments?
yes, if I may also just do, rather than commenting on what Brother Benny has said, let me also do a 5 to 10 minutes presentation. Hopefully that should take us to about 6:50. Maybe somebody else would like to speak. Sister Amma is here, I believe. She might want to say something. I don't know. Listening to Brother Benny, excellent presentation. But I was trying to get into my head what it means concretely. So it seems like a presentation for people like Brother Benny, who are dealing with high level high level continental intergovernmental matters, with very highly technical people who need to hear this sort of explanation around vulnerabilities and so on, so that they take action. But yeah, yes, Brother Benny, you want to say something?
Yeah. Because last week you wanted us to present on, more or less like the focus you have been on South Africa, but I see that the problem is just South Africa, but it's a sub-regional issue. It's really critical, and therefore we need to look at it broadly that way.
Yeah. No, I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing it. I'm saying
no, I know.
I'm saying that I'm saying that the level is pitched at the right level for those who are in charge of intergovernmental and that SADC level work. You see, this is good for them. And as you know, our YouTubes are watched by a variety of people. So hopefully this will get to them. What I would like to do in 5-10 minutes is to add to what you have said from a different angle, and which is that I want to start it like this. So the topic is development beyond nation states. What does it really mean for ordinary Africans? Because one of the challenges we have, Chair, is that ordinary Africans, we are told, by the way, that ordinary Africans don't want the borders anymore. It is the elites and the leaders who are not, who are interested in having the borders in place because it protects their fiefdom. So what does the unification of Africa mean for ordinary people? And we are saying that, or CSG is saying that, that it means a bigger life with less hassle at borders, because there will be no borders. It means more money in their pocket. It means more chances to learn and work. It means more stability in their lives and the respect our continent will get in the world. That is what unifying means for us. It will turn the promise of Africa for Africans that was hailed and shouted from the rooftops by Marcus Garvey and others in his UNIA. It will turn that kind of slogan into a practical daily reality. The problem today is that even all of us here, if you ask who are you, what country do you come from, we will say I am Ghanaian, or I am Kenyan, or I am Senegalese, or I am Libyan, or I am Egyptian, etc., etc. And that is, for us, is the problem. We only see ourselves as Ghanaians and so on. And sometimes we say we are Africans, and yet there is no country called African. It doesn't exist. So if there's going to be a country called Africa that will make us citizens, in the sense that I am African with an African passport, then it means we have to have a country called Africa. Right now, the country doesn't exist. And what we are saying is that the country Africa has to come into existence in order for us to be able to call ourselves Africans with an African passport. Then we can say, I am African. My identity and my opportunities don't stop at any border drawn by a foreign map maker over 100 years ago. You see, at the moment, we have 50, it's like having 54 separate houses. Each house has a small garden, a weak roof, a tall fence. And when a storm comes, each house struggles alone. Why don't we pull down the fences, take down all the fences between the gardens, create one huge fertile farm, combine resources to build a stronger single roof that protects everyone, so that we have one powerful voice to deal with the outside world? Why can't we do that? Or why shouldn't we do that? So that is what we are saying. And so if I might just go through a few things, what it means for us as ordinary today. If you try and sell your craft, software, or crops in another African country, you face complex paperwork, right? High tariffs and delays at the border. Maybe AC, AFCT, FTA, the African Free Trade Continental Free Trade Area might help, but it's not really working as it should. If we have a truly unified continental market and the African Free Trade Continental Area is really working, it means you can sell whatever you have to someone in a country 3,000 kilometers away, and that becomes easy as selling to your neighbor next door. That's how easy it will be. Yeah, it's so busy, and we'll have more buyers. And if you have more buyers, mean you can grow your business. Companies will expand across borders, creating more jobs everywhere. And our people love to travel. Even today, our people travel across borders. They go to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes. They go to Ivory Coast to buy this. They go to Togo to buy that. Some of us, as you know, our relatives will travel from Ghana to Nigeria to buy and come back to Ghana to sell, because Nigeria sometimes has better products. Nigeria has things that Ghana hasn't got in terms of fashion and so on and so on and so forth. You see, so and the second thing is freedom to travel, study, and work expands dramatically. If you are a businessman, just a businessman, you want to travel to every African country, you need 55 different visas. Now, come on, does that make sense? It doesn't. So you need a visa for most African countries. Some countries now don't have visas. So as a Ghanaian, I can travel to Uganda or Rwanda or some other countries where I don't need visa. Ugandans can come to Ghana, they don't need a visa, but it is not visa free across the continent. So you need a visa for most African countries. If you want to study in another country, it is expensive and it is bureaucratic. If Africa is united, all we need is a single African passport or a biometric ID, which means you can board a bus in Lagos, think about it, and get off in Nairobi. Wow! To look for work, visit family, or study with no visa hassle. Just imagine that, brothers and sisters. Just imagine. Your professional qualifications, nursing, engineering, are recognized continent-wide. Thirdly, today, in terms of how much we pay for goods and the choices we have, a smartphone or medicine might be expensive because your country imports it alone, with high taxes and logistics costs. If we had a continental free trade area and we have joint infrastructure, we have joint infrastructure, we have that, like, for example, a single railway network. It means that goods move cheaply and efficiently. You see more products on shelves at lower prices, from Kenyan tea to Moroccan pharmaceuticals to South African tech. So in terms of even goods, it's better for us. better quality of life. Then how about your light stays on and your phone connects? There are power cuts, poor internet connection are common, and that is because your country struggles alone to fund and manage complex grids and cables. If we have a continental Africa, we have a continental energy grid, which means that solar power from the Sahara, just imagine, or hydro from the Congo can be shared. You get more stable electricity. A continental digital strategy means that there's affordable, high speed internet everywhere, connecting you to information and opportunities. And then I've got 2 minutes and then I'll finish. Then you have your voice on the world stage gets louder on climate change, vaccine access, global taxes. A single African nation is often ignored. People don't care about you. If you go on to the news, who cares about Senegal? You don't even hear Senegal on the news. All you hear is Trump, 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 Trump. We are saturated with just one man at a global level. We don't hear about our brothers and sisters in Gambia or in some small village in I don't know where. We don't hear about them. We are just blocked out. A united Africa will negotiate as one bloc. It can demand fair prices for our cocoa and minerals and show that our communities are compensated for climate damage caused by others and shape the rules of the internet and AI to protect data and dignity. Finally, your peace is more secure. Today fighting here, tomorrow fighting there. Uganda has an election, so they have to shut down the internet. Do you really need to shut down the internet just to have an election? I mean, come on. In Ghana, those Nigerians who visited the last election in Ghana, they couldn't believe, is there an election today? Ooh, this is new. People were going about their business. Nobody was there were no police harassing anyone. There were no roadblocks. Women went to the market and they were like, hold on, are you sure there's an election in Ghana today? They say, yes. Hey, this is new, they say. If this is Nigeria, Uganda even went west. They just shut down the entire internet. They say that if they don't, Uganda will collapse. Anyway, conflicts and coups in one country can spill over, create refugees and instability that affect everyone's safety and economy. So we are saying that if we have a unified Africa, it means we'll have a unified, what Nkrumah called the High Command, and the Ugandan leader also, the first one also mentioned it, Idi Amin, also something that he also backed. Then we'll have a unified African peacekeeping and security force, answerable to we the people. It can intervene faster and more effective to stop wars before they spread, creating a more stable environment for everyone to thrive. So you can see that I'm saying that if we unite Africa, it will be good for the African people. And in terms of what Brother Benny presented, I would go further from what Benny said and say that he's looking at the potential if SADC unifies, which I think is wonderful. But what we are saying is that we even need to go beyond the regional organizations. We need to go beyond ECOWAS, go beyond SADC. If you take East Africa, Museveni recently, since the Trump entry illegally into Venezuela and kidnapping a sitting president, suddenly Museveni, as you know, was talking about the need for Africa to unite. He's been in office for 47 years. He has another, 5 years to lead Uganda. He could have done what he is saying now. Nothing stopped Museveni from helping to unite East Africa for the last 47 years. So what we are saying is that we need to go beyond uniting SADC or uniting ECOWAS, and so we need to look at continental unity. Thank you. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Good addition and a good follow-up to what Brother Benny has just given us. The meeting is now open to everybody who wants to have questions on the presentation by Brother Benny and the addition by Brother Kwame. Questions, comments, addition. And maybe before we come there, I'm also requesting everybody in the meeting and beyond to make similar presentations on, for instance, the other regional formations in Africa, COMESA, ECOWAS, so that we can also draw comparisons as to the speed um, we would need from here for full integration. So anybody who's willing, who's able and willing to do a presentation on the other regional formations, please gladly contact me or contact Brother Pigeon. I have left my contacts in the chats, and it's still there. Thank you. If you have any comment, please raise your hand. And in the absence of any hand, I will go by my list and start asking your inputs. Counting up to 3, still waiting for hands. And I will say, Sister Amma, am I targeting you? Don't you want to lead today's conversation on comments, additions, questions? Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I don't actually have anything to contribute at this stage.
Thank you, Sister Amma. Sam, Brother Sam, I have seen your hand may be late. So please feel free, and the floor is yours. Brother Sam?
Good evening, Sir Windhoek. Am I audible?
Loud and clear, Bruce.
Thanks, and I want to greet everybody on the platform. And where do I start?
You can start any place you feel comfortable.
Brother Kwame, the way you presented the edition, it's something so marvelous that I would feel it can just happen, what you are saying. But I think my thrust is, do we really see this happening under these current circumstances? Is there anything called SADC? And here my issue is we in this study we have come to a conclusion that there's certain fundamental issues that need to change before we can really realize the ideal world that Brother Kwame was really depicting, where we can walk right across the continent from Cape to Cairo, Morocco to Madagascar, as the slogan of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania in Azania says. But we know, we have, in the last studies that we have seen that although we have moved from slavery long time ago, the current situation says we are modern slaves. So as a continent, we have not moved, basically. And until these fundamental changes, SADC to be a SADC that is a united group that ideally pushes that everyone is free, totally free and liberated, no exploitation of man by man, where everybody enjoys equal opportunity, equal everything in the economic sphere, that will be so what am I trying to say? I think we have come to a stage where we are saying all what we are witnessing, it is just those fallacies that capitalism is closing itself up, bettering itself, that we can admire it, but not being aware that we are still highly colonized, we are still enslaved. And what we are seeing, which is inhibiting us to reach that ideal world, is because fundamentally that has not changed. And I always bring South Africa back to the fore. Even in a presentation, Brother Benny says it. South Africa should be miles ahead, beyond the struggle against apartheid that we fought when we said we are liberating the country. Has we done that? And we have not done that. So how do we foresee South Africa meaningfully playing a major role freeing other countries when it cannot free its own people? So we're sitting around this myth of freedom. So all what these leaders are doing, it is to give us this resemblance of unity, resemblance of cooperation, resemblance of, but fundamentally, they are still serving the colonial past that still keeps us under those yokes. So this is my comment in terms of the study. And if I conclude, I want to remind the members on the platform that at one stage in our CSG discussion, we came up with something that says the task at hand is to abolish, to replace, and then defend what we have now replaced and maintain it. The stage that we are at is still abolish. Until we abolish all this fracas or facade, that charade that makes us seem that we are free when we are not free, we are still far to reach all this objective. As I say, Tanzania is part of the SADC countries. When I was in Tanzania, I believed that they were moving in the right direction in terms of the socialist orientation and the economy. But the recent development where people are shot after election, people cannot even celebrate their independence because everybody is shut down because the election victory must be safeguarded, tells me we are far, far away. And I can go, the same thing is happening in Zambia, the same thing is happening in Zimbabwe. So really, this is the issues that I have with all what we are saying now. Thanks.
Brother Sam.
Hello.
Thank you, Brother Sam. Can you hear
Thanks.
me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Your conclusion sounds a little bit idiomatic to me. Can you please try to unravel it in terms of what do we stand to do and when should we start doing it? Or have we started doing it already in terms of the roads towards unification?
Yes, brother Wenduk. I think, as I have said, in this study, that's what we are doing. Every day we are exposing this fallacy. Every day we are showing the traps and frills that are being orchestrated in our different countries. So we are arming ourselves. Remember that the last study said the struggle is not only there in the street, the struggle is in the mind. So the purer we purify our minds, the more stronger, the more better we can fight the war and the struggle in the street. So CSG has already started that process of abolishing the myth, abolishing the frills and trappings that are there, and exposing and arming our people wherever we are. Thanks.
Brother Kwame, are you taking proper stock of what Brother Sam is saying?
Yes. When Brother Benny did his presentation the last time, you recall from the feedback I got, his presentation was the first that we ever got that linked our Thursday philosophical and ideological discussions with a presentation. And the feedback I got was that was so marvelous. I don't know if Brother Benny remembers his first presentation that he did for us. It just linked what we were studying with the Saturday discussion. And today, brother Sam has, I think, again the second time, in a very, very transparent way, drawn our attention between the link between our philosophical and ideological discussions on Thursday with what we are discussing today. And the fact that we have been discussing capitalism in our Thursday classes. And those of you here who don't know what I'm talking about, we have every Thursday we meet at the same time on this very Zoom where we study Pan-African philosophy and ideology called Concisism. That was led for us by Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah. That's what we are discussing. And so we've been discussing capitalism from different angles. And again, Brother Sam has reminded us that the task ahead of us is to abolish the borders, to get rid of the current political system that we have, where one territory in Africa closes down the internet because it has the election to elect the same person who has been in office for the last 47 years, because he wants to remain in office with his family. And therefore, according to the AU non-interference principle, everybody else must shut up. Other presidents can't tell him what he's doing is wrong. If they do, they are, violating the principle of of what used to be the OAU, now the AU. And Brother Sam is reminding us that is what we need to abolish. We need to abolish the political system, the current political system, because all it does is give the power over the state sometimes to one ethnic group in a nation of sometimes 100 different ethnic groups, because Africa has many ethnic groups. And all the state does sometimes is that one ethnic group alone controls the state. And then you find that the president who is controlling that state, whether it was in Ghana in the last government or Uganda or wherever on the continent, even including the monarchies on the continent like Swaziland and Morocco, it's the same. You have one family and family members, cousins, uncles, married to the president's wife, the president's wife's cousin, married to the president's daughter, and then you find they share the posts within the neo-colonial political system that we have today. And then they basically oversee the coercive state, the coercive and violent apparatus of the neo-colonial state, and crush any dissent. So they pick you at night, and you disappear, etc., etc. And that's that kind of neo-colonial economy is not helping the ordinary Africans. You see, and so listening to Brother Benny, listening to what I said, and then looking at what Brother Sam is reminding us, which is that the first thing is to abolish this system, and then we replace it with a continental government that has to be rooted in the needs of our people, which means that it has to be socialist, in the sense that the welfare of the people, must be the supreme law of the land. You can't have a society where the needs of the people are just ignored. People don't have enough food. Children are not going to school. They go to do an exam, take a mathematics exam, and then have the student fail, and nobody cares. Nobody realizes the damage to the economy when 50% of your children do not make it through, mathematics. And yet mathematics is fundamental to the modern economy in terms of science, technology, engineering. You can't have, and if you like, with medicine include medicine and all the pharmaceutical industries and all that. If you don't have science graduates, mathematics graduates, how are you going to build a modern economy? Unless you are going to be enslaved again, re-enslaved through the new technology, where our data remains in data centers outside the continent, where our seats are controlled by GMO companies. They control us completely. We can't regrow crops, etc., etc., etc. So we need to abolish this system. We need to go beyond the nation state. Because the nation state, we didn't create it. It was created by thieves and criminals and burglars and brigands and haters of Africa and Africans. People who are full of envy because of who you are and what you have, and who would like to come and take what you have, blatantly, even poison you if they have to, kill you if they have to, steal your children, steal your brains, etc., etc. So we need to abolish it, replace it with a new government. Then we need to then maintain and defend it, which is why, we are saying that this thing is not a walk in the park and it's not a 9-day wonder. Africa has no sovereignty currently in the world. We have no sovereignty. Why? Because Africa doesn't exist anyway. It doesn't exist. There's no African countries. It doesn't exist. We are saying that there has to come into being a new country called Africa. And that country, Africa, must then come into its own. And then what it means is that this country, Africa, must then wield sovereignty, because nobody is going to give you sovereignty. Nobody's, even those who are defending it. We saw in Venezuela, even those who are defending it with Cuban soldiers armed to the teeth, ready for fight. They just came and gassed them all. That is where we are. Chemical warfare, biological warfare against you. These people mean business, and they have nuclear weapons. So the enemy is not. It's that Nkrumah told us the enemy is formidable, and that is why we need the ordinary Africans to wake up. The elites can't do it because they will come and visit them at night, threaten them, as they did a lot of our leaders, during the Cold War era. They'll visit you, threaten you, tell you to not follow, do not do this, otherwise we will finish you. And then our leaders are afraid. They can't do it. They won't tell us the truth. They won't tell nobody visited them, and then they keep it to themselves, and then they suffer alone. So our leaders, some of us, when we talk as if our leaders are stupid, or that they don't have sense, that they don't understand what they need to do. They do, but they are powerless. Why? Because sometimes they don't even have the backing of the people. You see, so they don't have the base to do things with certainty and with strength, because some of them are even, some of them are themselves there illegitimately, and so on and so forth. So we are saying that sovereignty has to be, you have to fight for it. You have to then maintain it. So in short, Chair, this thing is an eternal war. It's an eternal war. It's not something that for the last 500 years, Africans have not united. For the last 500 years. And it's not the fault of white people. Some of us speak as if it is Europeans that came and then suddenly we are disunited. We were not united before they came anyway. Nothing stopped us from uniting our kingdoms before they arrived. When they left the continent and went to other continents to start their life, because they all came from Africa. They all left Africa and went. We remained. before through learning and technology, again from us, which they got, they developed. So let's not pretend that our problems come from Europeans. They arrived some time ago, and when they arrived, we were already here. You understand? So nothing stopped us from uniting. I'm saying that the history shows that our leaders, traditional, have not ever bothered with uniting. They were more interested in conquering other ethnic groups and bringing them under their rule, called the kingdoms. They were more interested in that than uniting the kingdoms and having one continental kingdom, if you like. So Europeans didn't come and create it for us. So what I'm saying is that the ordinary people are the only powerful enough to dismantle all this nonsense. The elites can't do it. They can't do it. But our people, united, can do it. That's what I'm saying, Chair. and it can be done. Let's not be dispirited. Did Marcus Garvey think that he will see a united, a free Africa in his lifetime? When Marcus Garvey, was dreaming of an Africa that was free, because when he was alive, there was no such thing as an African country. If you look on the map, we were all colonial territories. There was no free Africa except Sierra Leone, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa. There were only about 8 of them, that were free, if you like. The rest of the continent was under colonial rule: French, Portuguese, British, etc., etc. And
Yes.
Marcus Garvey was dreaming of a liberated Africa. When he was saying, people thought he was mad. People thought, "What are you talking about? Colonial freedom? Are you serious?" Even when America itself was fighting for colonial freedom from the British, long before the American Civil War. When people like Thomas Paine left Lewis here in England and went to America to help them fight and liberate America from the British, and they were saying, they were talking about liberty, freedom, all humans are created equal. People told them, what you're saying is not possible. There's no way you can liberate yourself from the British. The British are powerful. Oh. They are powerful. They are formidable. You can't win. And yet what happened? They won. So history shows that we can win. We just have to believe.
Thank you.
That's what CSG is doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. And Brother Benny and Brother Sam, I equally have to thank you. Mine was just an innocent question, but I didn't know that it would really have these consequences of bringing out the interconnection between our CSG class on Thursday and the Saturday unification class, as well as the urgent need for the shredding of the current colonial political systems and the need for conscientization of the ordinary people. Thank you so much for the 3 of you for that. Sister Ida, I have seen your hand was up, even though I don't see it up again. I just wanted you to please just highlight what you have put in the chat. And if you have any comment, I would give you the floor at the same time. And Hypercon, your hand is up. It has been recognized, but I don't know whether you are a brother or a sister. Maybe you can change your name, or when you get the floor, please just introduce yourself a little bit. Sister Ida.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, let me apologize because I didn't realize that I didn't have my name when I first joined. But I was on 2 other Zooms, which we only got in via using this other person's name. So I heard Brother Kwame welcome her. And I thought, oh, fantastic, she's on here as well. But it was me, sorry. So I've changed my name and come in. But I know, I couldn't believe it because both times I changed my name. So to see me suddenly come on at a different Zoom with that name, it was like, oh, what's going on? But my comment is, I was glad eventually, Brother.
Thanks for the lecture you have just put on the YouTube a minute ago. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Which one was that? Sorry.
I've
been spreading all sorts of things, so you have to be a bit more precise.
One of those has popped up. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Sister Ida, please.
Okay, thank you. My comment, I listened. I was here from the beginning of the talks, so I heard Brother Benny mention something about transport, but it was like buses and stuff like that. Then Brother Kwame came, and he said about buses, and I thought, oh no, why are we talking about buses in this day and age? Then he did say about railways. And to me, when Brother Benny first mentioned transport, my thing was, oh, railways, railways, railways. So to me, I think that CSG should be championing railways. If we really want a unification of Africa, which we do because we have our Saturday classes trying to get there, we need to be talking about railways. Because if you look at the past and even the present, you'll find that in America, railways changed everything. In Europe these days, people can be in one country and go to work in another country because of railways. And even in Britain, people could live up all the way up in the north and come down south because of railways. Expensive, but it can be done. So to me, I think that we should be, and even in Burkina Faso, I see that they've started developing railways. The thing about railways in Africa is they're different gauges. I think we should be championing um, rail travel, and we should be championing a single line all around Africa, same gauge, same that if we had railways, it would mean that people wouldn't necessarily have to pay so much for passports, because if you really need to, you can have you can have some other form of things that will allow you to travel. And I think I see that in East Africa, they started developing a rail line. And it was so fantastic. Everybody was talking about it at one point. Now we don't hear about it. But I think it's something that we should be looking at and championing, because that is one way of uniting Africa. Um, all over the place, people will be able to travel. And who's suddenly going to get them off the train? They might do, but others will look at them and will be saying, "What are you doing? This line is for everybody." And also, there'll be more unity in that. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or whatever. You can travel on the rail. It might cost a lot more depending on if you want first class or if you want this or you want that. But railway traveling, when I was young, it was one way that I went from one. If I wasn't, if you didn't go by plane, it was one way you went from one part of the country to another. Now it's very expensive. But the other thing that also twigged in my mind was, in Garvey's time, what was his message? Travel. And it was the Black Star Lines. So I think that travel is very, very important. And it's important that people should be able to get from one end to the other without necessarily having to go by plane or take days and days to get somewhere. So that's what I have to say. I thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sister Ida. Thank you so much. Brother Kwame, I have indicated already at the start of the meeting that should you have any interjection, direction, or addition, feel free to interject anytime. I've got two hands up. I've said already, hi, Pacom. Take the floor and please just give us your name.
Okay,
Thank you.
It's Brother Mauli.
After that, to Combo Oko, you will be next. Thank you. And please, in the interest of time, try to limit yourself only to 3 minutes and less. Thank you.
Yeah, it's greetings, house.
Hi.
It's Brother
Thank
Mawuli
you so
actually.
much. You have changed yes, thanks.
Yeah.
You have changed the name.
Okay. So
Go ahead,
please.
please.
Yeah. So yeah, in the submission of Brother um Christian, he made mention of one thing that we should it is the ordinary people who will be able to change the narrative as it is. But the ordinary people do not have access to the information we have, and it's very difficult to get the conversation down there to them at the grassroots level. And those where the politicians have been able to carve a way to reach the people at the grassroots, the same way corporate companies and or corporate bodies and other bodies as well too. So how do we really make sure the grassroots gets this message and understand that it's the onus lies on them to drive the change and not the elite? I'm done, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a very good question.
Yeah, I think Brother Mauli has himself given us the answer. He says that the corporates have found a way to get to the ordinary people, as have the politicians. So that means we have to look at how they do it, so we can also do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. And Tokumbo Oge, the floor is yours. Limit yourself to 3 minutes and less. Thank you. I think, yeah, can you hear me? Let me ask him to unmute.
Yes, thank you. I do beg your pardon. I was speaking to myself there. Right.
Please speak to the meeting.
Yes, I certainly will. I'd like to thank Brother Bernie and Brother Kwame and Sister Ida and everybody else who has spoken before me, and I'm going to try and be very quick. Sometimes I personally think the problem is with us. And when I say the problem is with us, I'm talking about the problem is with us who have pretensions to a certain degree of political understanding. But it might interest a lot of comrades to know that at the grassroots level, there is a certain element of African unity, especially at the grassroots level. Because if I speak from my experience in West Africa, and my wife is Togolese, and I've been to Togo, a couple of times, and I find that my wife's relatives, their house is in Togo, but their farmland is in Ghana, and I can't think of a better example of the necessity, for African unity. I mean, Brother Kwame presented us with a lovely lecture on the South African, the Southern SADCC. But it's all got to do with high politics, which is the politics of the ruling classes. Because if you look at the politics of the grassroots, even during the period of apartheid, the apartheid machine needed labor.
Brother Tokonu, can I make a correction? It was Brother Benny that presented on Sadiq. Thank you.
Yes, I said that, Brother Bernie. I said that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, I said that. Thank you very much. And the apartheid capitalist machine needed labor from all parts of the southern uh, 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 the southern cone, of Africa. So you had labor, coming from as far as Mozambique, and it's not by accident that Eduardo Mondlane, who was one of the first leaders of Frelimo in Mozambique, was educated, in South Africa. I think the biggest problem that we face, to sum it up, has been the question of how we have been liberated, which is national liberation. So, what we have is our ruling classes liberating a certain territory and holding on, to that territory, because that's where our ruling classes get their prestige and also get their wealth, because they hold on to the state machinery of these individual countries. Look, these 54 countries that we have in Africa are not designed to work for us. This is why, development is at a standstill in Africa. They were never designed to work for us. They won't design to. They won't work for us. So basically, what we need to do, is to remove the boundaries. But removing the boundaries is not going to happen by appealing, to the ruling classes. And when you consider the fact that some of our elder brothers in struggle, have already made copious plans of how we can bring about the unification of the African continent. You look at Sheikh Anta Diop and his book on, Black Africa, the Case for Unity. You look at Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, whose process to bring about African unity was cruelly stopped on the 24th of February, 1966. There are practical issues, that we need to address. And basically, these practical issues are the formations of political parties based, or rooted in the mass of our people, linking up, across continental boundaries. Because unless, we operate on a continental basis, then unity will continue to be a mirage. And I'll leave it there. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I've given you 1.5 minute bonus. You'll refund next Saturday. Go on, brother Kwame.
Yeah, I think brother Tukumbu has drawn our attention to the unity. There is some level of unity at the grassroots level, and you see it amongst ordinary Africans as they cross borders and trade and visit families and so on and so forth. So I think linking that with what brother Mauli said, we have a way of connecting ourselves with them, and those who have access to us, again, our brother to Kumbo said.
Kumbo, okay.
Tokumbo said, as we also have those who have access to some degree of political education, it is we who must, if you like, account.
Educate, yeah.
I won't use I'm saying account rather than educate. We have to account for the tools we have, because our nationalities sent us to school, and they sent us to school to go and acquire the tools to build the nation. And when they sent us, when education started, they didn't send girls to the schools at first. They only sent the boys, because no family in their right mind will send their women into a system they were not sure of. So they sent the men first. That's why the education started with the men. And then when they were sure, that's when girls started going. And then when independence came, the government of the liberated governments then sent their girls to school. You see, all those who were sent to school, to start with the men, like the Nkrumahs and so on, they all went to acquire the tools. And the idea is that you acquire the tool and then you come and give an account of the tool. The problem, as Brother Tokumbo has drawn to our attention, although he didn't use those words, is that now we have a group of Africans who have the tools. What we need to do now is to go to the people and account to them for the tools that we have acquired and make it available for them to organize themselves so that they can dismantle the system for which they sent us to school. Thank you. And let's not be arrogant and say we are educating them. They educated us. You understand? It's they who paid for us to go to school. It is they who sacrificed and made sure that we got an education. So let's stop all this arrogance and say we are going back to educate them. They educated us. They found out they couldn't read and write. Doesn't mean they were not educated in the broad sense of the word. So I think the people who have the tools, who have acquired the tools, living all over the world, whether it is in England, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in Brazil, we have to find a way to account to our people in terms of the tools we have acquired and make it available for them so they can tell us what they want. So then we do what they want, because right now, the African elites, not just those in the upper echelons of power, but even we at this level, we are this level. I mean, we don't understand. We don't understand. Some of us have privatized. We think the tools are for our private benefit. You understand? It's just for you to use privately to advance yourself in your career and so on, and don't understand that you were sent to school to go and acquire the tools to come and help the African nationality liberate itself from oppression. Thank you. You'll have to unmute yourself, Brother Windhoek.
Maybe you have muted me, but I have unmuted.
I haven't.
Thank you.
No, I didn't. I'm not controlling that.
Thank you, Brother Kwame.
You just have to leave your mic on because you are chairing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was busy with something here on the side. That's why I put it off. Thank you so much for making us aware of that distinction of acquiring an education and going to account back to those who have sent you to acquire the education. Thank you so much. It's philosophical.
Brother, there's too much arrogance. We think that we are doing them a favor by going to them, by sending money to them, by doing this. We are doing our families a favor and so on. And the same family sent us to school. Sometimes people forget that. There's just too much arrogance. Let's go and educate them. Really? You're going to go and educate your parent, your mother who sent you to school. You are going to educate her. Are you serious?
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Brother Tokumbo, half a minute, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Just to emphasize what the last brother had said, I read many years ago during the national liberation struggle in Ghana. The backbone of the national liberation struggle in Ghana, which was led by the CPP, was the market women. And a reporter went one day to interview the market women and asked them a question. Oh, why is it that you're sending boys to school and not girls? So one of the market women piped up and said, well, everybody knows that boys are stupid, so they need to be sent to school. The girls are quite clever and sensible, so they don't need to go to school. And I mean, to be honest with you, I completely agree with that. I'm not saying girls should not be sent to school, but considering, what we see in terms of the male domination of our political economies, that answer definitely makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Tokumbo. Brother Coco, I know you knew I was going to call you next. So, Brother Coco, you will be next. And Brother Pigeon, I acknowledge your presence, and I acknowledge the presence of anybody who has joined later. We didn't welcome you to the group, but you are most welcome. Brother Coco and Sister Grace, I have not heard from you the last session, so you will pay for this session and you will follow after Brother Coco. Go ahead, Brother Coco.
Yes, brother. Thank you very much. And thank you to Brother Berry, Brother Kwame, Brother Tukumbo, and many others, including Sister Ida, who have contributed to this session tonight. Brother Benny, I really must apologize. I missed your session. 6 p.m. sometimes here in the UK is still, running around doing stuff for the family. So I really, really struggle with these 6 p.m. Saturdays. But let's put that aside for now. I like that we have started linking the unity of Africa with the economic model that we're supposed to be thinking about. Because we have been using the wrong train right now, to use Sister Ida's methods of uniting Africa. So we are on the wrong train, and we have been on the wrong train since independence. So the reason why is because Africans are by nature communalistic. The Africans follow a method where we look after each other. And capitalism is not the way for that. But unfortunately, because we have been colonized, we have inherited everything that they put forward. Why did we inherit that? Or why did they bring that to us? They brought that to us because capitalism is an evolutionary stage just after feudalism. So they are continuing with their own methods of protecting their wealth through this capitalism model of economics. And we just picked it up and thought this is the best thing since sliced bread. And we went ahead with it. When I say we, I mean our founding fathers. And I wouldn't want to say evil or ill about the dead, because they did their part. They got all the education they thought they had. But I would like to remind all of you that the education that the colonizer or the oppressor will give you is just enough for you to continue to protect their interests. So that is the distinguishing factor there. The education we got was just to run the colonial project the way they wanted it. That's why people who were awakened, who were emancipated, like Dr. Nkrumah, when they came up with a proposal to cut clean completely from the colonial powers, the others who were taught to remain and protect the oppressor's rights fought him. They fought Dr. Nkrumah so bad that when it came to 1963, the unity of Africa, what we got was a watered down vision, which is Agenda 2063, which we are still trying to implement now. And the borders is one of the cruelest things that we have as Africans. And it comes from that conference in Addis Ababa. It also comes from the colonial project, because for the colonizers, we are meant to be fragmented, divided, that is easy for us to be conquered. And I'm not talking about just the language in this case, because if you just consider the language, that language thing, it just divides us amongst Francophone, Anglophone, Lusophone, Arabic, whatever you call it. Then add the fact that we decided to protect those borders. You can see what happened to Rwanda. Okay, is a result of that. Is the result of ill conceived decisions, which are based on the little education that we got from the colonizer, and we thought we were educated enough. And let me move away from that and talk about SADC, because I come from Southern Africa. And for a while, I worked in some of the institutions within SADC. They didn't have money. They had to raise funds. Where would they go to raise funds? Most of them will go again and go to the European Union. The EU will be funding SADC. The EU is funding AU. The EU is funding COMESA. All of these issues are being funded by the EU. He who feeds you controls you. He who feeds you controls you. We need to start by knowing how to generate our own funds, how we get that self-reliance, then it will fall into place once we know how we can feed ourselves. Right now, we don't feed ourselves as Africans. We have the world's best resources. We are endowed with lots and lots of resources as Africans, but most of those resources are being beneficiated outside African continent. They are creating jobs in Los Angeles, in California, wherever, in Europe here, everywhere, and in China, but not in Africa. And then we then import all those goods that were created using our products. They come back to our continent. Hence, we continue to be deficit spenders. Deficit spenders. So that's where modern slavery is coming in for the Africans. That's where neocolonialism, that last stage of imperialism, continues to happen now in Africa. And I think we need to start thinking fresh about how we go about this. And I'm glad we are doing that using the Thursday session, but we need also to bring it here to the Saturday session. We need to somehow revisit Dr. Walter Woodney's how Europe underdeveloped Africa, and Dr. Nkuma's the struggle, that last struggle in Africa. You have to understand that all this game is an economic game. The Greco-Roman Christian empire is hidden through the economic imperialism called capitalism, and is hidden in Africa.
Brother Togo, please conclude.
I'm done, brother.
Thank you.
That
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Right on time. Right on time. Grace, Sister Grace, did I say you were next, and shall you be next? And then I will go to Brother Mafole. 2 minutes, please, in the interest of time. Sorry to give you limited time. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Just taking Brother Kwame's argument that Africa does not exist, I would argue that legally it exists as a continent with all those countries as chopped by the Europeans. But our aim is to make it a country. So to make it one country, and I believe that before it became African, before it was chopped, it was one, for want of a better term, it was one country. So we need to go back to the way we lived at the time, and I believe that people could move around Africa without all these restrictions that were then imposed thereafter. But then, like brother, who is brother? Anyway, brother who spoke second, to Brother Ben, said what Brother Kwame says is looks good, sounds good, but practically, is it possible? Is it that easy? So then I'll go to what Brother Ben presented, to start with the regions. And then currently you find that the regions are operating at different levels. Tanzania seems to be discussing, they've got their rails kind of coming up nicely. As Sister Ida would say, we need the rails, and they've worked it out that they need the railways. They seem to have a good railway network system coming up. And then you've got to SADC. We don't know what SADC is really doing. And certain countries are talking to each other, some are not. Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia are talking a lot, to the extent that Namibia has allowed Zambia to come and extend or build something between them. They've given them land to connect all these transportations and trading and whatever. We don't hear, I must say I don't hear from Mozambique, Eswatini. And then you find Tanzania is in the Eastern Bloc and is also in the Southern Bloc. Not sure how that happens. But yeah, so to take bite-sized chunks that are easily managed, taking into consideration the attitude of our leaders towards this. Obviously, they're dragging their feet because they're reluctant. They still want to enjoy the power and control. And they're not going to give it up that easy. They'll pretend this discussion is not taking place. And as we all agree, on the ground level, at community level, on the grassroots level, unification is happening, or I can actually say it has happened, but it's being hindered by those at the top. So how do we deal with the people at the top? On Mondays, we read this book on how to topple these people, but it's not going to be that easy. So maybe starting with the regions, they might seem to be cooperating at regional level. And then once it's sewn together, then the regions will start. I mean, we've seen the Sahel, they've come together, they've formed another region in addition to whatever was existing before. And Museveni is trying to force the other one. I don't know where they're at with it, but SADC doesn't seem to be making any movement. In fact, you find South Africa laughing at Malawi over its poverty. And then Malawi is not making any progress. It's running around Europe and all the West, presenting a sorry story. And then if they're talking to Zambia or Zimbabwe, or they're still going with the begging bowl. When they're talking, it's always about begging, about poverty. And then you find Zimbabwe is under sanctions and doing its own thing because they can't work with other countries in the same way as others would. So organizing at manageable sizes, e.g. regions, and then merge the reasons, I think it will be easier, and maybe the politicians might buy into that. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Sister Chisomo. I give you extra time because we are doing the reading of the book on Monday together. Brother Mavole. Brother Mavole, please take the floor, and then we go to Sister.
Good evening. Thank you for all the presentations and the
discussions.
Greetings. Mine will be very brief. It will be much less. We are talking about removing borders, the colonial geographic borders, which is important. But there are borders, mental borders, that we have to remove first, so that the fragmentation that Brother Koko talks about, so that what Brother Sam talked about we can easily deal with. I think we've talked about this before. We need to decolonize ourselves. Brother Kwame talks about us not appreciating that we have a responsibility to pay back. He says to account. We have to account for all the education that we have. But we also need to be aware that the education that we were given is education for keeping us colonized. So we've got to go out of it. We've got to deal with how now to re-educate ourselves and everybody else. I think that is what I'll stop at. On the 30th of December, I shared a very brief article that we've been fighting the wrong wars. The war that we've got to be fighting, the only one war that we've got to be fighting is the silent fear inside our brains, inside our minds. That will free everything else. We'll be able to see clearer. We'll be able to see solutions that we are not able to see right now. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that's a very, very important comment. Brother Kwame, would you want to add on that just half a minute before we go to Sister Ama?
Yeah, I think brother Mafule has drawn our attention to the struggle upstairs as well. The struggle is downstairs and upstairs in the concrete material conditions and also in the mind. I think it was Bob Marley that said, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but yourselves can free your human minds. I have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets? And so on and so forth. Yeah, so yeah. Thank you, Brother Mafole. Thanks.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Sister Ama, 2 minutes, please. And Brother Kwame, have mercy with us and give us an additional 5 minutes if you can. Sister Ama, go ahead, please. And Brother Sam, follow Sister Ama with just 1 minute comment, please. I saw your hand. And if it is down, then it is down. Go ahead, Sister Ama.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Sure, loud and clear.
First of all, I would just like to take 10 seconds to remind us all of the important anniversary today, 17th of January 1961, Patrice Lumumba, Maurice Impolo and Joseph Okito were brutally assassinated and murdered. And I think it's important that we root whatever we're seeking to do today in our history or our histories. So I've mentioned that. I'm not going to say, I would have said a bit more, but I'm not. The struggle for, I'm going to use the term greater African unity, which is unifying the continent, getting rid of those borders which make no sense to us, unifying African peoples within the continent and with it, including the diaspora, is continuous. It's uneven, it goes forward and it goes backwards, and that's because we have internal forces which are pushing for greater unity at the same time as the internal and external forces which are pushing against it. I think one of the important things which has happened in this discussion today, and I thank everyone for it, is our discussion and our focus needs to be more rooted in the masses of the people at the grassroots. So we have, at this point in time, in the majority of Africa, a whole bunch of neo-colonial stooges. They are not going to champion the type of African unity that our people desire and deserve and want. So anything we do, and thank you, Brother Kwame, for reminding us that we have as much, if not more, to learn from ordinary people at the grassroots. Brother Tokumbo gave a very, very good example of how porous for ordinary people, how porous our borders are. And I can give, but I won't, loads of examples which I'm aware of personally, but also politically, of how Africans from one country move into another. And it happens all the time. If you think about one of those, and I'm not saying this to insult anybody, one of the most ridiculous countries in Africa, the Gambia, people are constantly moving across the border between the Gambia and Senegal because they have to in order to live and survive. The Gambia is nothing but a river. So we need to do that. And I think one of the things we actually also need to remind ourselves is the so many push forwards for unity within Africa. Unity of the people, unity of the countries. So we had the Ghana, Guinea, Mali Union, which happened soon after independence of those three nations. What happens? People come in to quash it. So we need to really, really be conscious of that. And I think one of the things we need to, and I'm not saying that I'm the person to do it, but one of the things we need to focus on is, where do our leaders come from? Our leaders do not parachute in from above. Or the leaders we want do not parachute in from above. They come from the people. So one of the things I will always challenge people on is Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah came out of the mass struggles of the people. Even before he got to Ghana or returned to Ghana, people were struggling and building organizations. So I'll mention a name of somebody who was organizing across West Africa. Wallace Johnson, the West African Youth League. The CPP, the youth in Ghana, pushed for the CPP. It wasn't an idea that came just from Kwame Nkrumah. So if we don't understand and describe those histories correctly, and somebody mentioned about the CPP was supported by financially in many other ways by the market women. If we don't understand that properly, then we will not get to the stage where we're pushing for a united Africa. So we need to continually step out of our arrogant zones, and I include myself in it, because we are all imbued by this, the system we live in, and root ourselves. The solutions are in the people. And why the solution in the people? Because we are talking about African unity for the benefit of the majority of the people. So anything we think about always has to be rooted in the people. I'll finish here, but I would just like to remind us all about the three African heroes who I mentioned earlier on, who sacrificed their lives, and they were very, very much about uniting and unifying Africa for the benefit of African peoples at the grassroots. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Amma. Once you start, I don't see any reason to cut you short.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your.
Brother Ringo,
Yes.
Can I just say something a bit on some of this?
Please.
Yeah, you see, like Brother Kwame said, I've been thinking about that in terms of getting.
Brother Kwame, sorry, Brother Benny. Brother Kwame, have you extended the message to us extra 5-10 minutes? Thank you. Go ahead, Brother Benny.
It's up to members.
Go ahead, Brother Benny. Thank you.
Yeah. The need for we at the ground to actually make this happen is imperative, because at the end of the day, if we look at like here, as I said, that this is just a bridge form of the whole document I did, but in SADC there are certain countries whereby other Africans are not allowed unless you have your skin is white or and not dark. You see, you are questioning unnecessarily as to why you want to enter that country. So you find that at the end of the day, those at the bottom are the ones that are also, consolidating these old structures which are there. We take South Africa, xenophobia, as we may call it. I've heard that there are spits of violence sometimes that erupts in places like Kenya. We saw last year and last 2 years also in Ghana. You see, how do we address issues of, let's say, cross-border crime and these things? Are they the matter that is more essential? Or how we integrate that? If I see I am in Zimbabwe, how would I feel as a stranger? You see, when we at the bottom begin to break the walls, then that is going to work. But at the moment, we take, again, let me mention South Africa, that you have people that can spend 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, even more, just looking for an African foreigner. Naturally, we are reinforcing the walls, you see. So it comes back to how do we break that from our own. I saw somebody saying that we need to deal with it from within ourselves first. But then it requires an education also that would actually help. And I would then mention that our sister Yasantua is doing something like that, whereby he is working on young people in the rural areas, actually decolonizing them in such a way that this is how we can prepare a future for the continent. But at the moment, the educational structures we have, the things they are still teaching actually makes us feel different from each other, and it will never take us anywhere. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Benny. Thank you, Brother Benny. And in the absence of new hands, Brother Sam, I said you have got a bonus of 1 minute because your hand was up. And then to Brother Adiole and Sister Dade, this is a safe space where you can participate freely, and I don't want you to leave this message without having given you a minute just to say something. Brother Sam, can I pass, or will you
So,
take
Chair,
that minute and then we
thanks.
go to...
I want to take the minute because I believe my brothers and sisters on the platform said a mouthful. And the issue I'm emphasizing is we shouldn't undermine what we are doing here every day on this platform. And we should take it. The grassroots starts actually within yourself, your family members, your relatives, and it goes on. So we shouldn't worry that the people out there will not hear us. If we can make our families hear us, then we have started this. If one branch has started, the prairie fire will continue. Thanks.
Thank you, Brother Sam. Brother Adiole, 1 minute, and then Sister Today, 1 minute. And then I'll hand over this meeting to Brother Kwame and Brother Pigeon to Brother Kwame to make concluding remarks, and Brother Pigeon, if you have got any comments on the presentation, and then we shall be closing these minutes. Brother Diola, please, the floor is yours. Otherwise, I will pass.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Followed all the presentations, and these are good presentations and discussion. I think on my own little contribution, we need to also see ourselves as one. One of us have said that when we talk of border, the mental border is the first thing we need to remove, which is very, very important. Like in a paper which I presented at the WATI conference, that's the West African Association of Theological Institutions, which is all about uh, the way we think. These Westerners cannot develop Africa for us. America will not will not build Africa for us. We need to come together and build all the love to see, we love to live in. And it has to start gradually. If it is, we need to have a focus. Is a good one. But if we want to really achieve this, we need to make sure that as we pursue one, let's achieve one before we move to the next one. Someone mentioned transportation. Yes, that's good. If it is railway we want to face, let's give ourselves a mandate to connect all these African countries with borders, with railway lines within a time, so that all nations will focus on that. And when we achieve that, we go into the next one. We need to work to build the Africa that people will be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brother Adiola. And can I ask you to do the same presentation that you have talked about, but with the background of the unification of Africa at any point that you would feel comfortable? My
Yes, I
contacts
will.
are my contacts are in the chat. Please
Okay.
contact me after the meeting, and then we will take it up from here. Thank you. And Sister
All right,
Tendai,
thank you.
Sister Tendai, 1 minute. Sister Tendai, I have asked you to unmute, but I can pass. Thank you. I shall pass. Sister Chisomo, your hand was up. I don't want to lock you out. Strictly 1 minute.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
what I was going to say about collapsing the boundaries, as we have spoken, the communities, the people on the grassroots seem to have united, and also to emphasize the point that these borders are artificial. If you come to Malawi, the border is only a building that's standing somewhere with officers in it for people to check in and out. The rest of the boundaries are open. You can walk into Zambia, you can walk into Tanzania, you can walk into Mozambique, and that's what people are doing. And that's why at grassroots people, the unification is working, because people can just cross and nobody can stop them. There's no one to stop them. So they are very, very artificial, because like I say, it's just one building where you take your passport, get it stamped, and then go the other side. But on the rest of the roads, there's a South African guy who is currently touring Malawi, a YouTuber, a matured guy. So he got to to one road, and he's surprised that on one side of the road, the shops that side are from Zambian, the shops on the other side are Malawian, and he can literally just go and buy whatever he wants from each side. And based on the arguments that they do in South Africa about foreigners coming in and this and that, they don't realize we're doing it everywhere. People are walking into Malawi, going in and out. Nobody can even trace them. So they were surprised. And he was just saying, look, I'm on Zambia's side. Look, I'm in Malawi. Look, they are artificial in the real sense, with just these officers.
Thank you. Thank you,
running all
Sister Grace.
sorts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sister Chasa, you had something in the chat. I did not read it. Can you say it loud? Sister
Hello.
Chasa?
Greetings. Yeah, I've put it in the chat.
Yes.
It's in the chat.
Can you please read it out loud? Can you read it out loud?
I'm trying to look
Thank
for
you,
it.
Sister Chasa.
Yeah, as I said in the chat, revolution starts from within, because that's where our power lies. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say. And also we need to just purge all the poison that we've been force fed by those troglodytes. So yeah.
Thank you. Ya Azadewa. Do you want 1 minute to utilize? Brother Kwame? Brother Pigeon? I'm handing over your meeting over to you for your concluding remark. And Brother Pigeon, if he can hear us, yes. I have asked him to unmute problems, but Brother Kwame, over to you.
Thank you very much for sharing elegantly and beautifully, Brother Windhoek, as you always do. Let's hear the announcements from Brother Pigeon, please. I must apologize. We're not shooting beyond 8. We're not going to 8:15. It's not usually our style, but please forgive us. Brother Pigeon, announcements?
Brother Kwame, I know it's place, but I'll put the announcement in the chat if somebody can read it. Sorry, the background is a bit long, please.
I'm happy to read it from the chat if it's already there. If it's not, I'll say what I remember. So we meet on Saturdays and we meet on Thursdays, same time. Some of our comrades also meet on Mondays to read a book called Defeating Dictators. We had a Swahili class which we finished initially. We shall proceed again. We shall be starting a fresh one, and we shall let you know. All our recordings are on YouTube, and if you wish, if you wish to watch what we've done in the past, please do so. We have over 300 recordings. This class has been ongoing for some years now. It was ongoing from the ground before COVID came, and all of us went online. And since we've been online, we've recorded over 300 videos, I believe, so far. When you do watch our videos, please subscribe. It helps us towards monetizing our site. I don't think I have any further announcements for us, except to thank you all, to thank the chair, to thank the presenters, to thank you all for attending. For those of you who spoke, thank you for speaking. Those of you like Amma who reminded us about the history, those who gave their lives that we may live, and so on and so forth. And so, thank you all. And I'm going to stop the recording now, and you may leave as you want after the recording is stopped. So I'm stopping the recording now. Thank you.